which is a bit of a, let's see how we can phrase this. I'm gonna just kind of smash it together. That's what I'm gonna do. or you can speak to which part of this. So bear with me. So this one is, we just talked about challenges with your first grant application, but can you talk to any challenges? Actually, we're just gonna make it two separate ones. Yeah, two separate. So can you all speak to any challenges that came during the project implementation? So actually implementing the grant, and kind of, well, here's the second part. Balancing the grant's needs with your own farm's requirements. So can you talk to us a little bit about challenges? And in those challenges, did anything come up where you had to balance what the grant wanted with what you needed to do for your farm?
Thank you, great question. So the last grant that I'll speak to is, it was for irrigation. And irrigation requires electricity. And on my farm, I am just putting in electricity. I got a grant from RAFI for a solar system. And I've been sort of fighting with the system. So when it came time to do the irrigation project, I didn't have the electricity to actually implement it. So the deadline came, but I did speak to and start communicating early on that I wasn't going to complete the grant within the time frame, and I was granted an extension of time. So the intention, the materials were there, but I couldn't actually execute it during the required period. So even with that, there is flexibility in the execution of the grants and the completion of it.
I just received funding for a grant that was delayed for 2 years, 2-year grant, a Southern SARE grant, looking at different types of mulches. When I first wrote the grant, I wrote another grant to get some equipment. The equipment was about 6 months late, so we didn't get a chance to plant to do the mulching that we needed. So I had to write for an extension. And so Southern SARE gave me the first year extension. Once we got our equipment out there, we put everything down, then we had a wild hog problem, and they just wiped out everything. And so I had to write for another extension. And so they gave me the next extension. And so we just wrapped up that grant. And so sometimes, other things can come in that's out of your control. Like I said, the wild hog problem. The weather, with us is always a challenge as well. And so a lot of things outside of your control.
So my project is growing lettuce in the summer months in the heat, so head lettuce. I haven't had any challenges. I think it's a really simple project, and I didn't change much from our regular day-to-day production. The only real change is that it's going into a different season. And then I'm putting some shade coverings over it, but kind of just folded it into our regular production system. So it's, and just testing out, like tweaking one little thing within that system. So there hasn't been a whole lot of challenges, but I know we're gonna talk about the rejection. So I did just get rejected, and I had already kind of planned for a research project. And so that one, because it's not gonna be funded, it's gonna be a challenge on the farm, because it's gonna cost us in labor to do this extra step, and I still wanna do it. So that's part of the problem, but it won't be funded. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you put the plan in place, then it doesn't get funded. I guess that's a challenge that I'm just gonna be facing.